So let's do another binomial distribution problem. So for example, randomly guessing at a true-false statistics question has only two outcomes. Success is guessing correctly and failure is guessing incorrectly. Suppose Joe always guesses correctly on any statistics true-false question with a probability of 0.6, he'll get it correct out of that 12-question test. So if 0.6 is the probability he gets it correct, 0.4 is the probability he gets it wrong. So it's another way to say this. There's a 60% chance he'll get it right. There's a 40% chance he'll get it wrong. That's how you need to think of those, because what can you do on a true-false? You can either get it right or you can either get it wrong. So this means, again, for every true-false question, success is 0.6, failure is 0.4, and n equals 12 since there's 12 questions. Right? We know this is a binomial experiment because, remember, we have a success or failure. And the capital X is the number of successes obtained in the independent trials. And again, here's our P, Q, and our N. All right, so I can figure out my mean and my standard deviation very, very easy. So again, remember the mean is N times P, so 12 times 0.6 gives me 6. And the standard deviation is the square root of N times P times Q. And it's the square root of 12 times 6 times 4, and it gives me about roughly 1.7. So there's my mean and my standard deviation. All right, so let's do some probabilities that for following scenarios of that. So remember what we're talking about. We're talking about N is 12, and we're talking about success, remember, was 0.6, and failure was 0.4. Okay, so I have 5 questions here. Joe will get exactly 5 test corrections right. He will get 6 or less test corrections correct. Joe will get less than 8 test corrections correct. Joe will get more than 9 questions correct. And Joe will get at least 5 test questions correct. All right, I'm going to show you something. These are really tricky. So what I want to show you is this is what I did for you. If you get lost with what I'm doing, this is kind of a cheat sheet. These are the scenarios I will give you on the test. You'll see it in the homework. So really make sure to understand these. And you'll be like, well, what do you mean by these? So exactly P, where X equals the given number, at most means the probability of X is less than a given number. Fewer than means you want that below that number. So the probability of X is less than a given number. And then at least, remember, the probability X is greater than or equal to a given number, and more than is the probability of X is greater than a given number. So these PDF and CDF over here, they're going to come into play in a minute. But again, go back and look at this. It's here to help you. All right, so let me go back to what we were doing. Okay, so let's do the first one, that I get exactly 5 correct. All right, I need to go to Minitab, and I'm going to do this. So I'm going to just put Joe here. And he's got 12 questions. The thing that people most often do that isn't correct is they forget to put 0. Because remember, Joe could take this whole test and get none of them wrong. Okay, so I'm going to make this bigger. Oops, come on. Okay, well, it won't do it today. Okay, but remember, I went all the way to 0. I went 0 to 12. Okay, when you're looking at the answers too, don't look at the row numbers, look at the numbers for Joe. It's really important. Okay, so again, my scenario was exactly 5 questions. Oh, and again, if you get confused, look what I have here. I have the directions on how to do it, okay? So that should help you. All right, so let's go back. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to Calc, and I'm going to do probability distributions. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to binomial. I'm going to go to probability. I'm going to put my number of trials in, which is 12. And I'm going to put the success in here, which is 0.6. Okay. My input column that I'm getting my values from is here. So Joe. And then I'm always going to do the next one is C2 here. Okay. And I'll show you why in just a second. I'm going to hit OK. And look what it did. So this is, I'm going to put binomial PDF to make it easier on myself. I have it named something a little bit different in the PowerPoint, but you'll understand. Okay, so what this means is The probability that Joe will get no questions wrong is right here, 0.7 or 0.000017. It's minuscule. So let's do the probability he'll get 3 is 0.012457. But remember, ours was 5. So the probability, and remember, let's go back to our question, and I'm going to do it here for you, okay? So the probability that Joe will get exactly 5 test questions correct. So I went to 5 here for Joe, and I looked over, and here's my answer. I'm putting it to 4 decimal places, but 0.1009. If I made it a percentage, it would be roughly 10% that he'll get exactly 5 test questions correctly. And that's how you do that. And if I go back to Minitab, you'll see the same thing here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. You'll see the same thing here that I got. Okay, so that's how you do when it's exact. All you do when it's exact, so I'm going to go back to my table. You're probably going to be like, why do you keep doing this? Exact is right here. I'm given exact numbers. Exactly, all I do is put the probability in and I get the exact number.